Hey, do you need wallpaper? Go to wallpaperboulevard.com. Give them my name, tell them Spencer Colgan sent you, and they'll be sure to give you 10% off at checkout. Check it out. Tell them I said hello. They have a tremendous selection. Don't shop anywhere else until you've checked out www.wallpaperboulevard.com. Double cutting, non-matching wallpaper. It's vinyl. It's residential use, commercial grade wall covering. Beautiful stuff, 55 inches long. And so when we double cut it, we need to, I use a laser. You can do it another way, but that's the easiest way. Let's get right to it. One of the mistakes you can make is not having wallpaper under this line. So when you do your laser, you want to make sure you're cutting over wall covering. You see that? I have double cut. In fact, it happened this week. And there was no wall covering underneath it. Okay? In just a little spot, but it can happen. Anyway, so that's number one. The other failure you can encounter is simply having a blade that's not very sharp, whereby you only cut through the top layer and not through the second. That is a nightmare. That is a nightmare. Don't let that happen to you. The third mistake you can make is using a guide that slips and slides. It wouldn't hurt to put on your guide something that they use under the drawer for your forks and spoons. You know that little rubbery thing that helps it from sliding? They put them in drawers and kitchen cabinets. It's just a little rubbery thing. Or you'll see that they'll put them under area rugs, on an area rug that is placed over tiles so it doesn't slide. You may want to make sure that you have something that doesn't slide. This slides, but I have a short one. So if it slides, I recover immediately. Let's go to it. Let's cut the top. Make a crease first. Okay. Now, okay, halfway down on a 9-foot high wall, we want to change our blade. So we have a nice sharp blade. Secondly, I wanted to say something, but I forget. Hopefully it'll come to me. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. So, in order to prevent the guide from slipping, instead of holding it flat up against the wall, raise it up so that your blade is less inclined to slide. Okay? Let's bring you down below. If you feel your guide slipping, just stop cutting and just recover. People say, how is it that you don't cut the wall? First of all, you can actually tell if you're cutting the wall. You can feel it. And you have to know your material, and you have to know the depth to which your material requires penetration. If you're working with a grass cloth, you want to test it out before you go to the real thing. So you take a piece, overlap it with another piece, and test it out so you get the feel for what you need to do regarding pressure. I was telling my customer, if I don't cut this straight, you'll see it. Because even though it's not a matching pattern, there are horizontal lines on this pattern. And if you go off, you'll see converging lines. And so, don't just wing it like they do in Burger Kings and McDonald's. You'll see a lot of installers just go really quick and they wing it. They literally just freehand it. And it's, if you look close, it's all crooked. Or I should say wavy. Okay. See that? Careful with that. I hope I penetrated that. Woo! I almost had the nightmare I was telling you guys to worry about. Meaning, if you don't press hard enough. You see what I mean? You might have thought that, oh, he's pressing hard. I just barely penetrated the second layer there. So let's go up close. Okay. It's about 5 minutes after the cut. I wiped it down just once. I want to talk about the seam and making it as imperceptible as nature will allow. First of all, you have to use a sharp blade. I really advise you to use a single edge blade if your fingers can hold on to the blade. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, the wallpaper industry has yet to have a tool that really supports a single edge blade. A lot of veterans just use their thumb and their index finger, and guess what? I can't hold on to the blade. Okay, so here's our seam. Now, when you wipe it down, this will disappear, but I'm trapping beads of water in these little grooves. And so it's going to appear darker until all of this water dries. Okay? But on the other hand, you want to get the paste off. Although if you're professional, you really make sure that you don't get paste on this stuff, because it's a long time to get it off. So let me show you something. So you see the seam here? Okay. This is for people who don't know how to articulate the natural process of what happens in wallpaper. So your customer will say, I can see the seam. Now actually I can't see it, but if I get closer, here it is. Now let's examine the seam up close. Push the wallpaper as close as possible and ask yourself, did it make the seam disappear? You can't see it because you can't really see the seam here, but I can see it. When you start pushing the wall covering together and the wall covering seam starts coming up toward you, you can't get it any closer. If you can still see the seam, that's your seam, and that's it. You didn't do anything wrong. But if you're a good paper hanger and you're kind of new at it, you'll overwork the seam. And that's why you'll see some wall covering instructions say, don't overdo the seam. Now, would you use a wallpaper seam roller on this? Why would you? All you're going to do is make the seam visible. Microfiber cloth, that'll take up anything on that seam. Okay? I'll show you a couple of seconds after this dries, and I'll show you what you can expect when you have wall covering like this, so you know what not to expect. Okay, I think it's sufficiently dry for me to say, all right, this is a super success story. That's how you hide the seam. You know, sharp blade, straight edge, and the rest is up to you. Don't kill the wall by dragging that blade through it too hard, because then you'll collapse the surface behind your seam, and you will have a natural depression in the vertical line. Not only that, there's air behind the wall. Eventually, it will push your seams apart because you've created a buildup of a pocket in which air fills, and it, you open and close doors, that air moves, right? What happens? It pushes the seam apart after a few months. Okay, so there you have it. I did another one over there. I got to clean that up, and that is the wall. So happy wallpapering. Thank you for watching my channel.